Dark Isekai isn't just power fantasies anymore. It's trauma, betrayal, moral chaos, and cursed wish fulfillment. Today, we're counting down 10 dark isekai anime you absolutely shouldn't sleep on, whether you love pain, chaos, or questionable life choices. Kicking off with number 10, KonoSuba, God's Blessing on This Wonderful World. Yeah, I can already hear you typing. Dark? KonoSuba? Hear me out. Beneath the absurd comedy, KonoSuba is low-key one of the most cynical isekai ever made. Kazuma dies in the dumbest way possible, gets reborn with a useless goddess, and instead of hero glory, he gets debt, trauma, and emotional damage. The darkness here isn't gore, it's existential humiliation. Every character is broken in some way. Aqua's a narcissistic liability, Megumin is a walking explosion obsession, and darkness, well, she needs therapy, not armor. The world itself doesn't care about Kazuma's chosen one status. Monsters are deadly, money matters, and bad decisions haunt you. It constantly mocks the genre while exposing how cruel isekai logic actually is if you remove the hype music. You laugh, but then you realize, wow, this world is absolutely miserable to live in. And that's the joke. Dark comedy at its finest. This is Emiverse Anime. Watch this video to the end and hit that subscribe button now. Sliding to number 9, Sword Art Online. SAO walked so half of modern isekai could run and trip over itself. Getting trapped in a death game where dying in-game means dying for real? That's dark, no debate. The early Aincrad arc is straight-up survival horror with anime aesthetics. Guild wipes, mental breakdowns, people losing hope, and Kirito carrying survivor's guilt like it's an equipped item. The show stumbles later, sure, but let's not rewrite history. SAO made millions of viewers uncomfortable with the idea that escapism can become a prison. The villains? Absolute menaces with god complexes and zero remorse. And the psychological weight, especially on characters like Asuna, hits harder than people admit. It's not just about overpowered swords and dual wielding. It's about isolation, fear, and what happens when reality logs you out permanently. You can roast SAO all you want, but its darkness shaped the genre forever, and that impact still echoes today. Landing on number 8, Now and Then, Here and There. This one doesn't flirt with darkness, it stares into it without blinking. No power fantasy, no wish fulfillment, just pain. A normal kid gets dragged into a ruined world filled with child soldiers, torture, and hopelessness. And it does not let up. This anime is emotionally brutal in a way most isekai would never dare attempt. There are no flashy abilities to save the day, no leveling systems, no easy wins. Survival itself feels like an insult. The villains aren't cool. They're horrifyingly realistic. War, exploitation, and despair dominate every episode. Watching this feels like being trapped in a nightmare you can't wake up from. It actively rejects the idea that another world means adventure. Instead, it asks, what if it's worse than home? This is the kind of anime that sits in your chest long after the credits roll. Not fun, but unforgettable. Looking at number 7, The Devil is a Part-Timer. This anime hides its darkness behind part-time jobs and fast food uniforms. Satan gets reverse isekai'd into modern Japan and ends up working at basically McDonald's. Funny? Absolutely. Dark? Surprisingly, yes. The story constantly reminds you that this is a fallen demon lord stripped of power, identity, and purpose. The humor works because the stakes underneath are real. Former enemies are forced to coexist, war trauma lingers, and moral lines blur hard. Is Satan really evil or just a ruler who lost? Is the hero actually right? The show quietly questions good versus evil while making you laugh at minimum wage suffering. And when the plot gets serious, it hits fast. Political schemes, divine manipulation, and existential dread sneak up on you when you least expect it. It's an isekai where the darkness isn't loud, but it's always watching. Crashing into number 6, Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation. This anime is controversial for a reason. Mushoku Tensei doesn't sanitize its protagonist or pretend rebirth fixes everything. Rudis carries all his past flaws, trauma, and bad habits into a new world, and the story forces you to deal with that discomfort. The darkness here is personal. It's about regret, wasted life, and trying to become better while constantly failing. The world itself is dangerous, cruel, and indifferent. People die suddenly. Consequences stick. There's no reset button. What makes it hit harder is how real it feels emotionally. Characters grow, break, and change over time in ways that feel earned. You're not always supposed to like Rudis. You're supposed to watch him struggle. It's messy, uncomfortable, and deeply human. Love it or hate it, Mushoku Tensei changed how dark, character-driven isekai could be. Rolling into number 5, In Another World with My Smartphone. On the surface, this looks like harmless power fantasy fluff. Dig a little deeper, and it's actually unsettling. The protagonist is casually God-approved, overpowered, and emotionally detached from the world around him. Death, politics, and war just don't matter. That emotional numbness is the darkness. The world bends to his convenience, people fall in love instantly, and consequences barely exist. It's a quiet dystopia disguised as comfort anime. Everyone else struggles, while the MC glides through life untouched. The harem aspect only amplifies the weirdness. It's less romance, more divine collection. You start asking uncomfortable questions about agency, power, and what happens when someone is too favored by fate. It's not dark in presentation, but conceptually, kinda disturbing if you think too long. And thinking too long is where this anime traps you. Stepping into number 4, Isekai Cheat Magician. This is where the genre starts showing its cracks. Two friends get summoned, instantly gain ridiculous powers, and are thrown into a world that clearly exists to be conquered. The darkness comes from how disposable everything feels. Enemies are faceless. Conflicts resolve through overwhelming force. There's no emotional weight, just dominance. And that's the problem. When power comes without cost, morality evaporates. The villains are evil because they need to be, not because they're interesting. And the heroes never question their role. It's a dark example of how hollow isekai can become when it forgets consequences. You're watching gods play human, and nobody addresses how messed up that is. It's less tragic, more unsettling. Like watching a world slowly lose meaning because the main characters are simply too strong to care. Charging into number 3, Death March to the Parallel World Rhapsody. This one sneaks up on you. It looks chill, almost cozy, but underneath, it's deeply eerie. The protagonist accidentally wipes out armies in seconds, gains absurd levels, and treats it like a mild inconvenience. The darkness is how casually mass death is handled. Entire civilizations fall off screen while the MC focuses on food and travel plans. Slavery exists, politics are corrupt, and violence is normalized, but rarely confronted. It creates this weird emotional disconnect that messes with your head in the best way possible. You're relaxed, but also uneasy. The world is alive, suffering, and broken, while the MC floats above it all. That contrast sticks with you. It's not loud darkness. It's the quiet kind that lingers after the episode ends. And yeah, number 3 really does mess with your head. Approaching number 2, The Master of Ragnarok and Blesser of Einherjar. This anime is ruthless with its premise. A modern kid gets sent to a brutal Viking-inspired world and uses future knowledge to dominate nations. Sounds cool until you realize how fast things get grim. War is constant. Death is routine. Entire tribes are erased for progress. The MC plays God with strategy, and people worship him for it. That power imbalance is terrifying. He's not just surviving, he's reshaping history, and the cost is measured in bodies. The anime doesn't always linger on the emotional fallout, but it doesn't need to. The implications are heavy. Knowledge becomes a weapon, and morality takes a backseat to conquest. It's an isekai where intelligence is deadlier than magic, and victory never feels clean. Dark, cold, and unapologetic. Finally, at number 1, How Not to Summon a Demon Lord. This is peak dark wish fulfillment with zero shame. The MC hides behind an edgy persona, but underneath, it's a story about isolation, fear, and social collapse. Diablo is overpowered, yes, but also deeply uncomfortable in his own skin. The world throws slavery, abuse, and corruption right at you, then dares you to laugh through it. And you probably will. That contrast is what makes it dark. The humor doesn't erase the cruelty, it highlights it. Characters suffer, systems are broken, and power becomes the only shield. It's absurd, messy, and self-aware in a way that works. This anime knows exactly what it is, and leans in hard. Love it or hate it, it's unforgettable, and easily one of the darkest isekai experiences once you look past the fan service. And that's the list. 10 dark isekai anime that twist escapism into something way more dangerous. Some made you laugh, some made you uncomfortable, and a few probably did both. Drop your hottest takes in the comments, hit like if this hit hard, subscribe for more anime chaos, and I'll see you in the next one.